Hero shooters have never really been my thing. Too many characters to learn, overly complicated mechanics, and lore that just feels exhausting.
This is where the magic happens.
Honestly, I thought I'd never enjoy a game like this. Marvel Rivals pretty much changed all that. Relatable characters I already love, a gameplay loop that's addictively fun, and free to play done so right, it almost feels like a gift. This might just be something special, if it gets the care and attention it deserves. Let's talk about why Marvel Rivals is the best surprise of 2024, and my thoughts on what needs to happen to keep it going. Hey there, I'm Cliffhanger DK. I've been in love with gaming for over 35 years, and I love to talk about modern gaming classics and surprising gems. Today we're taking a closer look at Marvel Rivals. The game had kinda been on my radar, but with buzzwords like hero shooter and destructible environments, I wasn't really into it. But as soon as you boot up the game, you're greeted by a cool cartoony cutscene that gave me Marvel Ultimate Alliance vibes. The presentation overall just blew me away, and the moment I realized there are 33 playable characters, all free, with insanely fair monetization, I thought, this is something special. I've dabbled in hero shooters before, but they always felt impenetrable. To be effective, you don't just need to know what your character does, you have to understand every other character too. Like, what the heck does this guy from Paladins do? How about this guy? And then there's the obtuse lore that developers want you to care about. Like this cowboy from Overwatch, originally named after a creepy guy. That's not the kind of backstory I want in my games, Blizzard. Ultimately, my lack of expectations and disinterest in hero shooters made Marvel Rivals the best surprise I didn't see coming. Now, I am aware that Marvel Rival has the same issue as other hero shooters with 33 characters at launch. It's quite a lot, it's a mouthful, but here I would argue that it's actually a strength. I think it's fair to say that most people on the planet has a relation to at least a handful of these characters. Because the roster is packed with iconic Marvel characters, the game feels approachable in a way other hero shooters just don't. You already know that Spider-Man swings, Hulk smashes, and Iron Man flies and blasts with repulsors. That familiarity makes Marvel Rivals insanely accessible compared to other games in the genre. And somehow NetEase managed to make every hero feel mostly true to their comic book counterparts. Magneto's ultimate ability swallows bullets, Loki can make illusions of himself, and there are even team-up abilities that just make sense, like Rocket Raccoon being carried around by Groot, or Hulk throwing Wolverine. These don't feel overpowered in a way that breaks the game, but it definitely adds an extra layer of tactics and utility that feels meaningful. And if, like me, you play the game for several hours, you will very likely find one or maybe even a handful of characters you prefer to play as. My personal favorite is Cloak and Dagger, who is essentially both a healer and a great aggressive character as well. My girlfriend saw me playing the other day and asked me why I was playing as a girl with a big butt, and my immediate response was, "But babe, she's like a support healer and she's like super ugly in the face, so yeah, I wish I would have said something like that." She still doesn't get why I play as Cloak and Dagger, but I do. Physical proportions aside, let's talk about another reason this game shines. Its visual design, art style, and presentation is just fantastic. It's immaculate. Either the developers had some huge Marvel fans working on the game, or a consultant was looking over their shoulders constantly. Something as small as the overview of the characters. When I drag my cursor around, the character kinda animates towards the cursor. It adds absolutely nothing to the game, it's just a cool touch. Every character has a lore text where you can read more about them, and sure, the skins are paid content, but honestly, they're some of the best I've seen in a free-to-play game. Just look at this gladiator version of Captain America, like it's pretty sick, it's pretty dope. And even with the paid cosmetics, the developers didn't take the easy way out. For example, Cloak and Dagger is essentially two characters, each with their own character model, meaning that for every skin they sell, they have to make two character skins. For the Hulk, that is going to be 3 skins, one for Bruce Banner, one for the Hulk, and one for Monster Hulk. They could have just added the Hulk to the game as one skin and made life a lot easier for themselves, but they didn't. And on the presentation part specifically, the characters have great banter as well.
Ilyana, dear, remember you're more than welcome in the Sanctorum.
Aren't you worried about my dark side anymore, Stephen?
I am, but books and tea will teach you how to cope with it. They worked for me.
It feels like any 2 characters on a team will interact at the start of a match, and 9 times out of 10 it's actually fun or interesting. This could easily have been incredibly lame, but it just works. Now, at release there are plenty of levels, but visually only a handful of worlds to fight in, like Hydra base or Wakanda. But they're all very visually distinct. The Hydra base has cold metallic corridors, while Wakanda bursts with vibrant energy and futuristic tech. The maps just work, and they're all super fun. All of them also have destructible walls in select spots. It's easy to feel like some of the levels have too many corridors, but if you check, there are quite often several routes to take or even some vantage points you can find if you break a wall. Most surprising for me is actually how well the game scales graphically with this art style. I played the game on low visual settings for at least a few hours before I even realized. The game scales beautifully across all settings from low to high and offers all the modern visual enhancements you'd expect, like upscaling and frame generation. The presentation and design make Marvel Rivals visually stunning, but a game like this needs more than just good looks. It also needs to feel accessible and rewarding for players of all skill levels. You want a high ceiling of competition, but ease of play to keep new players flocking in so the game doesn't die. So how does Marvel Rivals balance being approachable for newcomers while still offering depth for competitive play? Well, first of all, ranked play is inaccessible to anyone below level 10. This ensures that when matched with randoms and ranked, there is a minimum skill level. As for accessibility, the game is actually very open and clear on how to play it. In the character select screen, all characters are visually ranked by how difficult they are to play. There are great explanation of skills, there is a dedicated training area you can easily access, and you can even play matches against bots, which is great for any first-time players that are a bit anxious about diving into multiplayer directly. In essence, the game has launched with a ton of helpful features, Like, it's almost heartbreaking that this level of player-focused design isn't standard in major shooters like COD or Battlefield. After we have gotten this game, I really feel like it's time for EA and Activision to step up, because this is the level of accessibility that keeps players invested, something COD and Battlefield have been sorely lacking for years. Now, Marvel Rivals has already done so much right, from its gameplay to its presentation, but no game is perfect. As good as it is, there are areas where it can still improve and grow. Let's talk about some great features the game should double down on, and where some improvements could be made to ensure long-term success. Like we already covered, the game is a Marvel fan service wet dream. It features cool locations and has both some great characters that are familiar and some super deep picks, such as the fan favorite Jeff the Shark and Luna Snow. This variety keeps things fresh, and of course I've got some personal picks I'd love to see added. More on those later. I'm also shocked by how absolutely fantastic the community tools are. Every time I have reported someone for profanity or just being an a-hole, it's been handled within a few hours. The match review and tournament systems already built into the game are probably some of the best in any game, period. As they're only charging for skins, there is no pay to win, which is always a thumbs up and a win in my book. And whilst filming, they even have a special mode called Jeff's Winter Splash Festival, which is basically Marvel's Platoon with land sharks. Just trust me, it's great. And I want to see more one-off modes like this in the future. It gives a bit of variety and fun. Now, I also want to see some improvements. For a quick match, it has happened to me more than once that I have joined a game with less than 2 minutes left on the clock. I get that it's fair to the team that lost the player, and thankfully matchmaking is very fast, but it feels a bit tame to join a game that late. Usually it ends up in what feels like an undeserved loss. I also think that the game needs to have a mechanism where roles are locked. There's nothing worse than joining a team where no one wants to play either tank or healer. I'm not sure how they fix this, but maybe make it mandatory for players to be healers every 4th game, or to matchmake as a specific class. Like, those are just ideas off the top of my head. It's a small issue really, but it feels like something that is worth looking at. I honestly never thought a free-to-play hero shooter would pull me in like this, but Marvel Rivals has become my favorite surprise of 2024. It really is a feature-complete hero shooter with room for more characters, levels, and maybe even some new features and modes down the line. I have some personal picks for characters as well. I definitely want to see more X-Men. And you can't say X-Men and ignore my boy Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. Looking at how he plays in other games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance or Marvel vs. Capcom, he would be a great mid-range character that could get in close as well. Other characters on my wish list would be Juggernaut, MODOK, Ant-Man, and Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck has actually started appearing more and more in mainstream media, both in the MCU movies and animations. I think he would just be a really fun choice. Honestly, I'm curious if you guys have any characters you want to see. With an upcoming movie, we're almost guaranteed to see the Fantastic Four, but maybe you feel like someone essential is missing? Like, share your picks in the comments. I would love to talk it out with you guys and speculate a bit. Now, heroes we definitely won't see in Marvel Rivals are the ones from Gotham Knights. That game, it was not received well, but is it actually worth your time? Is it fixed? Is it okay? Check out this video to find out. And if you're into thoughtful gaming content like this, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.